Hello everyone! As you may remember, a week or two ago I was under the weather and missed several videos. Well, one of the videos I was working on was one on headlines, including a discussion of Hurricanes Irma and Harvey. But by the time I was feeling better, it was so out of date I just scrapped it. I put quite a bit of research into that video, so it seems a waste not to use it. So today I'm using that discussion as a starting point for a broader discussion on climate change. As always, my sources are in the description and the credits are at the end of the video. If you are someone who is skeptical about climate change, I recommend that you review the research. The pages on NASA's website, which are included in my list of sources, are a great place to start. August 25th. Hurricane Harvey, a Category 4 storm and the first hurricane to make landfall in the U.S. since 2004, bears down on Texas, leaving devastation in its wake. A few days later, a second hurricane, Irma, becomes a Category 5 and the strongest hurricane ever recorded in the Atlantic. On the 6th of September at 2 a.m. local time, Irma passes over the tiny island of Barbuda. Some estimates are that 90% of the buildings are destroyed. Irma continues moving and causes damage to a series of islands, including the U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and more, before reaching the U.S. mainland and causing damage in multiple states. A few days later, another Category 4 storm, Jose, seems to be following the same path as Irma, threatening the same areas already staggering from the devastation. Mercifully, it turns aside and starts to lose strength. However, as I'm recording this, on the 13th of September, computer models are having some issues determining how the storm will progress. Yet another hurricane, Katia, bombards the east coast of Mexico on the 9th of September. And the Caribbean, or Caribbean if you prefer, and North America are not the only areas being subjected to severe weather. Monsoon season is underway in South Asia, and that region is also experiencing severe flooding this year, with over 1,200 people dead. India, Nepal, and Bangladesh are all affected by what is already the worst monsoon season in decades, with weeks left to go. Additionally, a few weeks ago, in Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone, storms triggered mudslides that buried hundreds of homes and businesses. According to the UK's The Independent, part of the reason why this year is so devastating is that the storms are not behaving according to their usual cycles. Normally, these weather systems will move in, strike, and then move on. But this year, several of them, including Hurricane Harvey, got stuck over one general area. As often happens when we see natural disasters, we hear that old cliche. Well, it's the residents' own fault for living in areas that are prone to disasters. And we hear it whether that is a hurricane, flooding, earthquakes, tornadoes, or whatever disaster. This, of course, ignores the fact that in many parts of the world, people simply do not have the ability to pack up and move. Even in the US, factors such as poverty limit people's freedom to move to a less disaster-prone location. And the hypocrisy can at times be hard to stomach. Take, for example, one Senator Ted Cruz. It was Cruz who just a few years ago stood up in the US Senate to oppose federal disaster relief for the victims of Hurricane Sandy when it struck in the New York, New Jersey area. But he quickly changed his tune when it was his own part of the country that was affected by Hurricane Harvey. But the real point here is that these storms raise again the threat of climate change. To be clear, it is not believed that these storms are, themselves, caused by climate change. But their increased strength, they're not following normal or expected cycles, and other factors are. As The Guardian reports on their website, as the oceans become warmer, this effectively feeds the storms, increasing their strength and magnitude. Warmer oceans evaporate more quickly. Warmer air holds more water vapor, so there is more moisture, and storms dump that moisture more intensely. Additionally, of course, climate change is linked with rising sea levels, and sea levels have risen by 20 centimeters, about 7 or 8 inches, as a result of human-related global warming in the last century. This may not sound like much, but for coastal regions, including many densely populated areas, it can be devastating. The question of these storms that effectively park over a specific area or region cannot yet be definitively attributed to climate change. But strong warming in the Arctic may be linked to a phenomenon that has climate scientists concerned: a noticeable slowdown in atmospheric air circulation in mid-latitudes. And this may help explain why these recent storms are not behaving as expected. So, what is the takeaway? We need to take climate change seriously. Excuses from politicians and skeptics about not understanding the science doesn't magically waive the logical outcomes of what that science is telling us. Regardless of what you believe the cause is or is not, the data is in, and the Earth is warming. According to NASA's website, 97% or more of publishing climate scientists agree that climate change is linked to human activity. Cherry-picking denial statements by the handful of scientists who question climate change, many of them funded by the fossil fuel industry, and suggesting that there is any serious debate in the scientific community is a major disservice to the public. And most of all, we need to be prepared for this trend: the melting ice caps, the warming oceans, the moister air, the stronger storms and hurricanes, and the other effects that we are seeing to continue. Because even if every country on the planet stops emitting CO2 and other greenhouse gases tomorrow, it will be years, or decades, or even longer before the system can recover from the damage we have done, and are continuing to do. Some scientists speculate that there is a tipping point, beyond which the chain reaction that we have set into motion escalates beyond our ability to step back from the brink. I hope we will have the collective will to take action now, before we reach this theoretical tipping point, assuming, of course, that it is not already too late. Thanks for watching, and remember, be good, and if you can't be good, be wicked well.